Wagwan, are you there? What's good? And you know who this is, baby. The number one podcast in America, dedicated to all you kings and queens of color, homies and homettes, shotters, woo gals, G-boys, and charges. The one and only Jerk Jollof and Collard Greens podcast.
So y'all won't believe I turned on the telly and guess what was on?
What?
I don't want to guess.
I don't know. There's a lot of things you can be watching.
World Cup.
Oh, God.
World Cup. World Cup.
Oh,
World Cup. Come on, man. You know that's
No, the World Cup is kind of crazy.
I was not ready for that.
The World Cup has been kind of crazy.
Bro, the song, though, from I Show Speed. I'm not clowning it. It is catchy. Like that shit right there. World Cup. That right there just kind of had me. But when I was at that party and that shit came on, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, bro. Like it's
Blasting
really,
World Cup at a party, bro.
We really at that point. I think DJ was like, I'm gonna play all the popular songs right now. And it's crazy to think.
And then he hit you with that Baby Shark, and then you was...
It wasn't.
Wow,
well,
Baby Shark
is so like what 2021. Like this episode today, y'all. As a matter of fact, is about 2022. And we know it's not over yet, but it is about 2022. Our favorite moments in the year, and there's kind of like all the hype about resolutions and whatnot, and whether or not you should fall into it, whether or not we've had any for 2023. Our favorite moments from 2022, what we hope doesn't return or come back from 2022, and what we hope probably carries over into 2023. But I think a great gift from 2022 was I Show Speed World Cup song. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me y'all wasn't blasting that at that point when y'all heard it a month later?
Nope. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
World Cup. I can see Francis jamming in that World Cup.
I'm basic, man. I'm basic, so I probably will be banging it. So yes.
I think the 2010 World Cup song was probably one of the best. That was it.
Was that the South Africa joint?
Yeah, that was
Shakira.
Shakira.
Oh yeah, she killed that song.
Shakira,
bro.
Shakira. She was killing
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. That shit's
Hips
in
do
my
not
head
lie.
now.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
The hips do not lie, for sure.
She was in some tax trouble the last time I saw her on the headline. She wasn't paying taxes in Argentina or something like that.
I mean,
she said she was, but they tried to get her for
if
it.
Wesley don't gotta pay him,
man.
if Wesley don't gotta pay him, then Wesley Snipes don't gotta pay him.
Well, Wesley Snipes did time. What are you talking about? Wesley Snipes did a lot of time, bro.
Then I guess Shakira, we know what's next.
You talking about Trump? If Trump ain't gotta pay him, then we fine, right? You gotta know the loopholes.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, back onto the topic. I just had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. That shit is in my head, man. So but anyways, once more for announcements for today. If you're not already following us on YouTube or Instagram, start following us, because guess what? This is the last episode of the season. We are wrapping it up. We're bracing and preparing for the holidays. So this is the last time you'll hear these sexy voices and see these sexy faces. So definitely check us out on Instagram and YouTube, Jerk Your Love Collard Pod, to catch up if you're not already caught up on all our new content. We should be dropping some content as well, some takeaways from the episodes throughout the hiatus as well until we come back next year. But other than that, we don't have any more announcements. So we're breaking to our special CP time, where we looked at some of our most memorable moments of 2022 in America and around the world, and just even locally, things that occurred or happened. And let's start it off with, I call this the expose on the damage and effects on the brain of CTE and whatnot. But let's talk about Herschel Walker. And D-Black, this is one of your ads right here. Your main man, because he was representing for your state. You know what I mean? Herschel Walker.
Like I was representing him, bro. I ain't repping him.
Bro, what was your favorite Herschel Walker moment? I mean, for me, it was definitely the vampire werewolf story.
Oh, that was...
He was like, you know the movies, I was up last night watching the movies, and this crazy movie came on. It's kind of like, yo, bro, like, is this really the guy that would have been like one of our senators? Like, for real? Like, he was like, you know how they have the movies with the vampires and the werewolves, and the vampires is all cool and stuff. You know, I'd rather be a werewolf. It's like, yo, bro, Like, where are you coming? Even though Obama made a jab at him, I feel like if Obama's dissing you, something's wrong. Like something's really wrong. And that Obama's the last person I would want to have diss me.
That
Man.
Herschel Walker.
I mean, why?
Doesn't have his head on straight.
Bro, it's like, I don't know. It's something about it just feels like, I don't know. I guess maybe because I mean, as a black person, I would feel like, fuck, like the only black president is calling me out right now. And it's just like, I feel like my blackness would be revoked. And then it's just the way he does it, like so dad-like, like, you know, you disappointed me, man. Like, I'm disappointed in you. Like, you're fucking up. Like, stop fucking up. I don't know. It's Obama dissing you.
Yo, cuz let me go from this because I know you got a lot to say. So
yeah.
Yo, I think my favorite part is when he lost, man. So that's my
that part.
So savage.
Yo, I'm glad that man did not win. Oh man. You know the funny part when I saw Kanye put him on his show, on his page, it's like go vote. I was like, no way, definitely not. Like we don't need none of those, none of that. So when you get endorsement from Kanye, you know, like that's not the right person. So
something's wrong. Red flag.
I love Kanye, but that's not it. That's not it.
I mean, Kanye be saying some crazy. He's been saying some real crazy stuff recently too.
Yo, so I just want to, go ahead, D Black. I know you got a lot to say.
I mean, first of all, just to anybody who doesn't know what CTE is, it is a mental health condition that is primarily been associated with like repeated blows to the head. That's why a lot of football players tend to get associated with CTE because, you know, the helmet and the equipment, not necessarily always, I believe back in the day, weren't always the best.
And this was like before we had the concussion protocols.
Yeah, before we had concussion protocols too, and things like that, where, you know, football's like a man sport. You gotta get back out there. You look like you can see straight. Get back out there. Like, goddamn, it's crazy. You know, and actually, just as a side note, it was actually originally called the punch drunk syndrome. That was what it was originally called, which is absolutely nuts. But so Herschel Walker, and I'll make it super quick. Back in the day, he was diagnosed with CTE, and people were questioning if he should come into politics because he has CTE, you know. But he, so this is actually gonna tie to my two favorite quotes with him. The first favorite quote of his is that, I'll tell you the exact quote, because he said, that was years ago. I've recovered from CTE. That was his exact words, right? This was in October. This is in October, right? Right. And then in November, he was doing an interview for NFL.com, and he said something crazy, and then they were like, no, because they asked him about another one of his quotes. I apologize, because he said he was a federal agent, which he never was. And even the federal agents denied it. He said he was a Georgia Cobb County police officer. They said that was an honorary. It was a toy badge, and he showed it during the debate, which is, I could go with that one, but I'm not going to use that one. The one after that, when they asked him about this on NFL.com, I was like, why'd you say that? He was like, oh, that was my CTE acting up.
Wow.
So he denounced the CTE.
That's funny. As
to say that he's eligible, he should be able to run. And then when it came to some of the crazy things he says, he just blames it on the CTE, which is like, I thought that was kind of wild.
Typical GOP right side type propaganda tactics. It's like they all thought, oh, Trump is great. He's a genius. And then all this shit came down. I was like, oh, we didn't know he was a scammer. We didn't know he was a fraud. We didn't know he was
right?
It's like, what?
So huge side note, right? I don't actually blame, you know, so funny because some people blame Trump for the fact that we have a lot of these kind of candidates that are just, that maybe air quote don't have the credentials that you would want to see in someone who's running for politics. Like maybe they've served in the military. They had some seat in government already. They're a lawyer, business, something that gives validity to their position in that role that they're going for. But I don't even blame Trump. I blame Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Good one.
I blame Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was one of the first people that had no any form of political experience. I mean, not even a native to the country, everything like that. Whatever. Y'all can debate that in the comments y'all want, but I don't really care about that part. But I'm just saying, like, he ended up winning the governor of California,
Yeah.
and he had no experience. I think he served 2 terms too. On top of that,
Yeah. And then he had
They
that
were-
whole affair with his nanny or whatever. And
yeah, yo, he was
his
botching that
housemaid.
first term too, and they were like, "But it's the governor. Let's give him another shot."
Yeah. And that's like the draw me to the next question on this is that should we have stricter like prerequisites or like stricter requirements for people to even consider running? Like, I think so personally. When I see all these celebrities, athletes, nothing against them, but I'm like, if I'm going to vote for any of them, I want to know that, okay, you put like 10 years in, you know what I mean? When I go to the doctor, I want to know that, okay, yeah, you got your doctorate, your certificates, your licenses and all that. I'm not going to go with some guy that says he's been a doctor for a year. You know, he looked it up on Udemy or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, charisma is only going to take you but so far. And I think we had what was it? Ronald Reagan. He was an actor turned president. So it was just like, you know,
Oh, that's even taking it further back.
I mean,
yeah, that even really bringing it back.
man, I don't know if I agree with that. I think this is like the people vote for the
Mm.
presidency, right? So this is the people's champ. So let the people choose who they want to be the president. And you know, if you have the power, the ability, the financial support to run for the presidency, then that's your decision, right? But it doesn't mean you're gonna win it. You know, I mean, Kanye. I mean, I keep bringing Kanye West up because he's so relevant to me. But he also running for the president. I'm like, bro, you shouldn't run for the presidency. Nobody's gonna vote for you, bro. But that's what he wants to do. Who says he doesn't? If you know, we all, I mean, have the right to make whatever decision we want to make. It doesn't mean that we have any rights to it. You know, so the people gonna vote for it, and if that's who the people want to vote for, and on top of that, because you don't have any experience, doesn't mean you don't have the knowledge or the ability to do the work, right? So sometimes we just need the chance to be given the person. We just need the opportunity to prove ourselves, because sometimes we get the chance and we actually do it better than the people who have those experiences. So so that's why for me, I think I'm very open-minded to it. You don't have to have 20 plus years, politician, be like a political experience to be considered for presidency. I just think if you get to the seat and you have the right support system around you, I think you can do very well. Ultimately, let the people vote for it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know about that.
That's fine. That's what I'm saying. You're not the one making the choice. That's why we all got to vote, right? So
That's true, but I feel like certain people shouldn't even be up there to begin with, yo. Because I mean, after seeing what happened with Trump, I think we learned from that. But I feel like I don't know. Like, but honestly, he didn't even get the popular vote. Let's be real. Something happened with Electoral College. Somehow he ended up winning despite not even having the popular vote. So that idea of populist determines is it's kind of like, now, is that even true anymore?
Mhm.
Let's be real. But
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Trump, even though Trump wasn't like very popular in some sector of our community, of our nation, in our world, there are some people who feel like he did a great job, right? So who says that him being the president was a bad thing? He accomplished some things for some people that people thought he was accomplished. Yes, did he make some bad decision, or made a hash of himself with some of the decision, or some of the way he said things, and some of this stuff he said in public, or his Twitter fingers, right? But ultimately, when it comes down to the policies, I mean, the stock market was booming when Trump was in the presidency. I don't know if it was tied to the work that he did, but some people tied their success in the market to Trump. So what are you gonna tell those people, right? Like, oh, Trump didn't do shit for you, but in reality, for them, they feel like, when Trump was the presidency, I made at 10x my money. So yes, I don't care, right? So I don't know. So it's relative. It's based on your experience and what your personal, your value of our hierarchies are, and what Trump brings to that. What value did he deliver to you and your people?
So I think that you make a very good point when it comes to thinking outside the box. First off, I have a few, I'll go through them really quickly, a few points. First off, it is a constitutional right if you're born here, and that is kind of the bare minimum, right? So keeping it that way allows it prevents, because the thing is that now we start adding other criteria. Depending on who is the person that adds that criteria, they can make that criteria very discriminatory. And we already have kind of some discriminatory guidances that limit people from voting, impact people's ability to vote. So that's a very crucial component of making that selection process. So if we start adding criteria for actually who gets appointed, what stops it, there? Like, oh, we just need to add one thing. Then we add two things. Then we add three things. Then, maybe a brother isn't a good, maybe we don't need to add no more brothers, no more sisters, you know what I mean? So it does get dangerous. And it does infringe on the constitutional right. So it is probably one of the most difficult things if you want to try to change it. Secondly, I would say there's pros and cons of having the individual not necessarily have that political experience. Because to my cousin's point, having a person that's more relatable means that they are more likely to have a sense of what real world people deal with. If they're not living a political life, or if they're not living, and that also applies for somebody I'm using Trump, who maybe he lives very affluently. He's not living an everyday, impoverished kind of experience, so he doesn't relate with them. So changing the criteria it takes the opportunity from everyone who was naturally born. And ideally, even though there is some kind of caveats to it, ideally everyone has an opportunity to become the president if you really want to be. You can go campaign, you can do it. You have zero experience, so what? Education.
Yeah, it's just like every person can walk onto a Mercedes lot, but I don't mean you're leaving with one.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and that's why the process is supposed to ultimately root it out, like root out people who technically aren't qualified, or we as the people ultimately make that decision. So even in your example, just because you walk into a dealership, but if the dealer, the people in the dealership feel like you're ineligible for this vehicle, guess what? You ain't gonna get that vehicle. You know what I mean? So if the people feel like you are ineligible for the position, you're not gonna get that job. You know what I mean?
And sometimes, and go back to the dealership.
And that's the thing.
If you get the right person to co-sign for you, you might walk out with that car.
That's the thing.
That's exactly where the money and the backing comes in.
At a premium rate.
But that's the thing.
It don't matter. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, yes, that's where the
lobbyist
comes into play, because those are the people funding your campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's yes. So
we do understand that,
right?
Yeah. The race is definitely based. I mean, if you look at, I don't have the stat in front of me, but I definitely looked at this last year. The person that pours the most money into their campaign tends to win. It's historically always been that way. That's why at the end of the day, it's always Democrats and Republicans. There's other people running. You never heard of them. I ran. Nobody knew I
was. No, you self-nominated yourself.
Self-nominated. Nobody had no idea. I got one vote.
I don't know. Like, my thing is is relatability enough? I can think about a million people that I can relate to, but I don't think they would make great presidents. You know what I mean? So that's where I think it's necessary for a vetting reason. Like, okay, are you actually serious about serving the people that you're dedicated to? Because you don't have to wait until you're president to do that. You could start local. You could start as a council person. You could start as your mayor, maybe. You could work your way up the ranks. And I think that's the way it should be. Same as okay, I'm not going to go to the guy, I heard he can do heart surgery, but he's not licensed to do that. Would you guys go to a doctor that's not, hasn't studied for years at medical school? You know what I mean? No. You're not going to go to Raheem down the street that says he can do open heart surgery if you got to get something done. No. So you're not going to, if some guy said, I could fly a plane, you're going to be like, oh, word, 10 people say he could fly a plane. That's good enough for you to go on the plane with him?
All right, but then here's the counter to that.
All right, go ahead.
The counter to that is,
and then we'll move to the next one.
The counter to that is that as human beings, we do naturally make presumptions of a form of rationale, right? So you're presuming that the average person wouldn't want a doctor who doesn't fit the stereotypical, who fits the stereotypical build of a doctor. They went to med school, they come from a good program, they have plenty of experience. But there are those people, maybe it's not someone that you would typically associate with, but there are those people that literally say, I've had so many times interactions with medical physicians and they've all been terrible. I'm gonna go talk to my pharmacist. I'm gonna go talk to, an LPN or a nurse practitioner. If they see an MD, they typically avoid them. I mean, even if oh gosh, this is a whole rabbit hole, but even in the Black community, we typically avoid going to the doctor because of all of the historical things that we've dealt with. So there's a lot of deep-rooted things that are in there. And then that stuff shapes people's thinking. So if people are used to seeing someone, regardless of the ethnicity, the race, the gender, the creed that the person is, and they fit the stereotypical mold of a politician, and we're so tired of seeing stereotypical molds for politician, people were willing to take a chance with someone crazy or off the label because maybe they'll bring some new ideas. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I've spoken to some Trump supporters and I've gotten their rationale for like, okay, this is why I think that. Like, yeah, he said some crazy things, but I'm like, all right, and we'll see, But I think it's just important that we just let the process be the process, unless it's invalid or there's any kind of criteria that needs to be evaluated. But we're going to do that as a collective,
All right. So I think we reached a breaking point on that one. Great points all around, but to each its own, I guess.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. And that's not going to change anytime soon. But I guess let's look at it this way. For every Herschel, we got a Jalen and a Jeffries, right? So we got Jalen Smith, the 18 years old, mayor of Arkansas. And then we also have Jeffrey, Speaker of the House. So for every one dud, we get two new ones. I'll look at it that way.
We get some gems in there.
Look at that way. All right, so let's look at this latest bit of news. This is a little bit more recent, particularly Brittany Griner's release from her 9-year sentence at the penal colony, and which was the result of a prisoner swap. And I believe she was swapped with Victor, a Russian arms dealer. And I think there was an interview done with him recently. The Bout, yeah, where he said he's like known of the god of arms or the god of guns or whatever. And he recently said that he's pro-Ukraine, pro-Russia going into Ukraine, and he's pro-Putin and blah, 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 blah. I've seen a lot of memes on this to chime in on something that Francis dropped in the chat when we brought this up, but do you guys feel this release was a little lopsided as far as what Brittany was detained for versus what he was detained for? Or do you think she should have just served her 9 years and called it a day? Or like, what's your take on this particular happening in 22?
Man, no, I mean it's a really interesting topic because I asked myself, does she deserve to be released over the people that have been in prison before her, who actually were captured or for more legit reasons? And my answer to that is no. Like, she didn't deserve to come on before those people. But is it, or the question is it fair? And my answer is it's not fair, but life is not fair. Because I think in reality, she had way more backing and there was a lot of pressure on the presidency to get stuff done. So I think, Biden was kind of placed in a position where he had to do something to get her out, and I mean, just the idea of her spending 9 years in jail for petty crime is just so ridiculous too. She was playing in Russia before. She knows the rule of the land. She made a bad decision, but does she deserve to spend 9 years in jail for that? So for me, I think all of it just doesn't make sense. She just got caught up in, and she was just used in part of the, political game, with Russia and the US. Unfortunately, her business and her privacy got put on into the front street because of it. And she deservingly so, she put herself there because she made the decision she made. But ultimately, I think what happened had to happen because of the support that she got. But unfortunately, I hope we can get more people out who also are stuck in Russia, and because they all deserve to come home. So ultimately, that's kind of where I stand. Like, it's a tough one for me,
I think this is a case where you think about whether or not the crime outweighs the punishment or the punishment outweighs the crime. And when you mentioned the others, I think most recently, Paul Whelan, the corporate security executive, that was held on espionage charges, and I think he's also a former Marine, and he's been there since 2018. And I know he made a video where he's like, "Yo, when am I getting out? Like, what's going on?" And then there was also Mark Fogel, a teacher from Pittsburgh. He was detained in 2021, also for marijuana, that he was using for back pain. He was given 14 years in a labor camp, and he'll be 61. He's 61 years old, actually, turned in June. Wow. And a couple others, but those are the most notable ones to date. But it's like, I kind of feel like the punishment outweighed the crime. I mean, even looking at Mark Fogel as an example, he got 14 years at probably the same penal colony, and there's no question of him ever being returned. And you got a point. Brittany Griner's case was put out there a lot. And it also, I think, had a stigma to it because she's Black. She's gay.
Yep.
A female. So it's just like,
and she was a Black Lives Matter. She kneeled, which a lot of people also said it was used against her now, right?
Exactly. And I'm trying to think also with the timing of what's going on in Ukraine, if that had anything to do with it as well. But I think Biden looked at this and he was like, nah, not on my presidency, not in my term. I think he was just like, not this one, because it's just it was something that would always stick. Like, yo, you want us to vote for you, but when Brittany got shipped off, you didn't do anything to get her out. That's just the way I'm thinking that they look at it as far as optics go. But these two white guys, who's going to care about these two white guys?
Yeah, it's a popularity thing. She was way too popular. There's a lot of pressure. Yeah, go ahead, cuz.
No, my bad. Go ahead. I just.
No, yeah, go ahead. No, I was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just to think about it that way. Like the people that you're mentioning, first of all, I'm not going to say whether the trade is good or bad. I'm just staying completely out of that one. I'm just going to add some more context to the fire. You've already kind of said everything about Brittany Griner and, her contribution to society and all this, whatever. And we're not even going to talk about her athletic accolades because they don't necessarily apply, but, respectable athlete, right? You have already mentioned some other U.S. military that are still arrested there. To add another, Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine, 52, he's still there. And we have dozens of other Americans that are there, right? National heroes, things of that nature. Let me just give you a little bit of context about Mr. Victor Bout, that was arrested in 2008. And he was arrested because he was trying to sell U.S. arms to a foreign agency that already has an issue with the U.S. Put that all into context. Okay. And then he was ultimately extradited to the U.S. in November 2010. And then, we've had him since then.
Other entities, you mean Iraq?
Oh boy.
So here's my thing. And of course, and his nickname was the Godfather of Arms. He was literally the Godfather of Arms. Of military arms. Not just because of his ability to sell them, but his understanding of them, his ability to adapt them, modify them, manipulate them. It's almost like a chemistry formulation person, but for arms. This is the person we just gave back, the U.S. gave back on as a trade for Brittany Griner with other people that have been sitting there for a long time. So the fact that it could be possibly a social catalyst that forced him to make that decision, that's kind of nothing against Brittany, but I do think that's a little bit disgusting if you're making your decision solely because she's a celebrity and people know her name. And then there's other people that no one knows their name that have literally given up their lives for this country.
Optics. I mean, I guess I'll make it personal then. How would you feel if it was maybe your loved one detained on something that you felt like was okay? Most cases, even by Russian law, she would have gotten a fine. You know what I mean? The jail time is purely subjective. Not saying that it's always going to go that way. They may choose to punish you more based on who you are, if you have other previous offenses. But normally that could have been a fine, resulted in a 9-year penal colony term. I mean, how would you guys feel if that was maybe one of your loved ones detained on something that you felt like was like, all right, she shouldn't be there? Because that's how I look at it as well. But
Yeah.
how would your perspective change if that was somebody you knew?
I mean, like the truth is, if my family was not popular, was not a famous person, nobody's gonna care. So that's the truth. I mean, I'm gonna be pushing the best we
They're
can.
stuck.
My family and I will be pushing because just like the other people we mentioned, right? None of us knew about those people until Britney. You know, there was more light shine on Britney than there were other people, other families saying, "Hey, what about us? What about my family? What about my dad? What about my husband that's back in Russia, that's jailed? Why are we talking only solely about Britney? Like, do you care about my family members?" Right? So for yes, I mean, yes, if when they come home, regardless of what had to happen to get them back home, as part of your family member, of course you don't care, right? You will give up your sometimes some people will give up their own life to have some family members back, right? So at that point, obviously I will be fine with it, you know? I mean, her Brittany's wife, she's happy she's home, right? And her friends are happy. Her parents are happy she's back home. They didn't care about. I'm sure they cared that the U.S. had to go to that extent to get her home, but at the end of the day, the end result is what mattered to them, not the process that happened. So,
Yeah, and I definitely think that, you know, answering that question from a personal perspective, of course, you'd be biased. Every single last person will be biased. Anyone who swears up and down that they wouldn't be biased is they're trolling. You're trolling.
So they have Nigerian or Jamaican parents. Like, make him steer there. Like, they're probably like, yeah, he did that shit.
Yeah, watch him learn something. He'll come back with some culture. So come back more respectful, get some discipline. No, but seriously though, like I think everybody's gonna be pulling for nobody care. If it's your significant other, your family member, somebody you care deeply about, you don't really this conversation about whether it's right or wrong or whatever, it's a moot point because to you just want your person back. You want your significant other back. You want that person you value. You don't care. But when you have to have the conversation on a national level, it's different. It's not the same. And for her to, it's like, I don't know. I feel like she just literally jumped the list on a heart transplant list. Like she went straight to the top. She went straight to the top. I think that's wild.
Pull the Dick Cheney.
Money.
And and I think that it's unfortunate that we make those decisions based on notoriety and recognition.
I mean, Biden's trying to keep that black vote, man. Let's be real. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it for politicians all the time. How, you know, you got a guy that had 3, bypasses and still managed to tick on and whatnot. You thinking, okay, which heart from Thailand did they just steal just now? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it happens. We may not hear about it a lot, but trust, it does happen on the other side and probably more often than not. But all right, well,
yeah, I think one thing that was really interesting, I was trying to find it, that I thought was Kim Kardashian actually posted something. She says, if we can get Britney out of Russia for marijuana, why can't we do the same for people here in the U.S.?
Don't you dare quote no Kim Kardashian, okay?
Miss Balenciaga.
I'm talking about the actual question though. Isha, she shared a post that I thought was a very clever question though, because it's like we just went out of our way to get this one of our famous athletes out of another country, right? Because of for the use of marijuana or for having possession of marijuana. Why aren't we not like having that same focus for the people in the U.S. who are in jail for the same thing? So I think it's a valid question, and we need to bring some. And there's still more conversation that needs to be had with that. I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was a valid question.
Now that you brought that up, that brings us to the next point for 2022, actually. And it is happening, maybe not a full federal sweep at the moment, but on a state level, wherever it's gone recreational, then yeah, there are some records being expunged. And I thought there was like an expungement record act that was passed, but that also could have been on a state level. Speaking of which, well, anyway, shout out to Brittany Griner. Congratulations on your release. Shout out to your family. We hope everything that could be said, your safety is most important.
Nobody hating on you, Brittany.
Home,
Brittany.
Even it's for optics.
Love you.
Yeah,
Just understand the context in the grand scheme of everything.
we just hope that it wasn't just an optics grab, but just a genuine attempt to really securing someone's freedom. You know what I mean? Like, that's all. But apart from that, recreational markets, recreational states, I'm going to speak for New Jersey real quick. And that's the reason why I added it, because as you know, this year, New Jersey did its first recreational sale on April 21st, the day after 420. And I, being an enthusiast, a well-reported enthusiast, I don't know how I really feel about it. I'm going to tell you why, because I have not gone to a dispensary yet. It's not even about the dispensary or the regulations. It's really more or less so the consumers. I've had 2 incidents where I've witnessed either A, persons smoking and driving at the same time, like legit smoking, like not even just like, okay, I smell the weed. No, this person is legit smoking and driving, and it's about to run this red light and get into a car accident. And I also witnessed another instance of a mother smoking with her child in the back seat, basically hotboxing her kid in the car. So I'm just like, okay, I'm pretty sure when prohibition ended, you had people doing dumb stuff, right? That's the same reason why you had don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive, plastered everywhere. It's like, you know, even to the point where you can't even have an open container, you know, in your vehicle or even outside certain establishments. But it's just, to me, the idea that we have this open market and we have people that are out here hotboxing their kids, thinking that it's a joke. And I'm pretty sure they were even doing this before it was even made legal. And then you also have people that are thinking that, okay, it gives them the okay to smoke and drive. I'm not sure if it's the accessibility of it, because honestly, legal weed is way more expensive than the street weed. But it's just like, to me, I don't know, just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth to kind of witness these things. But at the same time, I guess it was to be expected. But it's just like, I don't see how they're going to regulate, you know, what's happening on the street, as far as, okay, yeah, you can get a fine for this, you can get arrested for this. It's just like, for one, you're not going to catch everyone. And how are you going to prove someone's under the influence? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they have anything where they could jab you and see if there's THC in your bloodstream yet. Your urinalysis is going to take a day. So it's just like, you know, what can you do? But people out there, especially my New Jerseyans, like, stop it, please. Do not hotbox your kids in the car. My thing is, if you don't have somewhere to smoke and you smoking in your whip, you shouldn't be smoking weed, period. You know what I mean? Like, because now your whole car is smelling funky, you're hotboxing your kids, and that shit's not cool. And don't smoke and drive, like, common sense. Like, why? Why do it? I've done it, but why do it?
Don't do it.
Be better than me, kids.
So I know not to do it. You know, I know not to do it because I've done it, and I was so damn paranoid that entire drive. It wasn't even smoking. I had an edible and drove, so it was a little different. But don't do it. That's it. Plain and simple. Yeah. Don't do it.
100%. Yeah, you said it pretty well. Yeah, I agree with that. I think sometimes even like when you drive, it's not even about like, oh, I'm driving, I'm worried about the other people. Other people driving. It's like you don't know what people are doing, if they're under influence or if they are even good driver, period. But yeah, definitely.
Bro,
safety of our community and our kids and our loved ones is the most important, and we should live life with those. We should make decisions based on those requirements.
Yeah, don't let them take it away, y'all. They can take it away.
Don't fuck it up for everybody.
Don't fuck it up. All right, so let's jump into the actual discussion. Good recap, y'all. Great recap. And I know I had one other point about the impact of finances and whatnot. And I don't know if you guys heard of this trend called jugging going on now, where basically there's like bank jugging and now there is like mall jugging. So what will happen is people will wait until you've made your purchase. They'll follow you home or follow you to your next destination. And when you get out your vehicle, they will rob you. So they'll take your money, take your gifts, or whatever. It's called jugging now. So it happens at the bank. You would make your withdrawal at the ATM. Think I got my money jugged. You go to the mall, you bought your Christmas gifts, you go home. The fact that someone's actually following you home, insane. Like that's someone that's actually witnessed and actually experienced a home break-in There's no, you never look at your home the same. I'll tell you that much.
For real, for real.
Yeah, that's
But
scary.
Got the Red Octobers.
Yeah, be careful, people. It's
Follow
crazy
your
out here.
ass.
The
bro,
time went up everywhere the last 2 years, so be careful.
exactly. So we'll touch on that, but let's get into these resolutions, y'all. Have you guys made any resolutions for 2023? Do you believe in them in the first place? And have you made any? If you believe in them.
So it's so interesting that follow-up question, because I truly don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't believe in making a resolution, but I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, because I mean, the New Year's just signifies a specific time point in the calendar in the year. But if your goal is to strive to change something about yourself or be better about yourself, and you've already identified what it is, you've identified the mechanism on how you want to make that change, you need to start working on it. You know, I'm not saying it's easy. I think that's the hard part. That's why most New Year's resolutions tend to fail, is because they're self-enforced. You need a buddy. If any, I know maybe we might touch upon this part. I don't know if we will, but if you have a resolution or if you identify something about yourself that you emphatically want to improve on and need to change, you can't do that just by yourself. You need a buddy, and you need someone that can keep you accountable, and that they're going to piss you off, because the days where you feel the most frustrated, I'm tired. I know I signed that gym membership, bro. I'm trying to cut them weight, cut that COVID weight. And you ain't going to do it. But like, oh, I'm tired. I ain't going to go to the gym today. But if you have a buddy who's going to keep you accountable, they'll be like, yeah, we're going to the gym. They're like, yeah, but I'm tired. Yeah, but that was your New Year's resolution, and we about to hit these weights.
That's like
they're gonna drag you to the
New Year's pimp.
Yo, you need a buddy. So first of all, I would say you don't have to wait till New Year's to make that resolution, and second of all, get yourself a buddy to make sure you actually follow through.
New Year's
pimp. I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe in resolution, because I think resolution gives you the opportunity to reflect. You know, it gives you to reflect on your year, see what went good.
New Year's resolutions you're talking about specifically.
Just resolution. Yeah, resolution, because we towards the end of the year, and this is the time people will make their resolution for the coming year. Yes, I do agree. It doesn't have to be at the beginning or towards the end of the year when you make those resolutions. I think you can make resolutions, or I call them, usually I call resolution goals. You know, you can make them any time of the year. But for me, I think it's important to have a point in time where you evaluate whatever resolution or goals you made for yourself and see, okay, what went well, what went bad, what could I done better? Then see, and I think actually a lot of self-improvement things that we do are continuous. It doesn't end. Because, you know, like I have like 5 pillars. I think the spiritual goals or resolution, mental, your mentality or your spiritual resolution, financial goals, just some of those key 5 pillars. Some of those resolutions are ever going, right? It's continuous year by year. And at the end of the year, you evaluate, okay, how did I do with my finance this year? How did I do being a better person this year? And then you can see, okay, these are the areas that I can actually improve on. Because at least for me, that's part of some of the things I do on a year-to-year basis. I always kind of reflect on what went well towards the end of the year. One day, for example, like this past year, my goal was to, try to call at least 2 of my friends every month, right? And I was doing really well with it in maybe the first half of the year, and I kind of tail it off towards the end. But one thing that I know is, I'm still, even though I failed in a way. I know, like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna try again next year. So it doesn't mean even if it didn't go well, you fail at it. I think the point of it is just making the effort and trying to do it. You see that self-improvement over time. There's a breakthrough always comes into play. It doesn't have to mean like you're going to see a breakthrough the year you make that resolution. It could be something that happens maybe a couple of years down the line, but I'm a strong advocate for a resolution, man. Like, I think it's important to set it because then you can hold yourself accountable. Regardless if you have a partner or not. I don't think you have to have a partner to do it.
Can I ask one question before you go? I think that you make a very good point. I do agree with the frame of reflection. It's important to have a period of time where you can kind of stop and look at kind of what you've done with. I get all that. I'm definitely with that. But I think having goals, making resolutions, etc., and they're not truly attainable, I feel like it puts you in a kind of a defeatist mindset where it's like you're constantly going to be working to something that you're never going to achieve, you know? And even if you are, see, in your example where you said, okay, I'm going to call 2 friends, which is you've probably established some kind of internal criteria of success or acceptance of like, okay, I've reached 2 friends out of 6 of the months out of I was supposed to, right? Or last year was 3, this month is 4, this year is 4. You see some growth, right? So I get that because there's measurable growth there. I'm talking about those individuals that make a plan to do something, initiate the plan, and then it stops after the initiation of the plan. There's no further execution. There's no achievement on the goals. It just becomes a talking point of recurrence, conversation after conversation. Girl, you know, I'm not working on that baby fat. You like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like
weight, and then you just get heavier.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people say, "Oh, I made a resolution just to say I made a resolution." But I think at the end of the day, though, I think eventually when you keep making effort to make resolution, something does click eventually. And I think there's a life-changing experience that happens to that individual. Because yes, you're gonna fail, man. Like, and I don't call resolution on obtainable goals, right? Because I think you know, at least for me, I'm not a big dreamer. I don't dream crazy dreams that I think is out of the box. Like I make realistic, practical goals for myself, you know, and I know, yes, some people are better dreamers than that. And if it doesn't happen, that just means it's not the right time. It doesn't mean, you know, you should like beat yourself up for it because it didn't happen this year, or it didn't happen within the time frame that you set for yourself. You know, every goal has. That's why I like the end of the year is a good time for me, because a goal or resolution without an end time, without like a time frame,
a start
so
point.
you want a smart goal, right? Because in the end of the year will be the timeline for yourself where you actually evaluate it. So that's why I'm a strong advocate for it. Like it doesn't. I mean, if you ask my wife's gonna be like, she probably maybe has the same viewpoints. She does have the same viewpoints as you, but that's why I think it's really just from an individual base, I'm a strong advocate for it, but it doesn't mean that's the right answer for everyone.
Yeah, I'm curious, how many of them phone calls was like, yo, how you doing? Bad word. I bet. Have a good day.
Nah, man. Like that's not a, you know what? You know what? To be real,
that one off.
Even if you
Like,
do that, no, the real
Raheem, you
real
act like
shit,
I ain't
though,
call you last month, bro.
yo, real shit. Even if you do that, I think that counts, bro. Because we are so busy.
Yeah.
I agree though.
When somebody even make the effort to call you, regardless of how long the conversation is, that is what matters. You should be happy someone took the initiative or the time out of their day to call you, even if it's 3 seconds. So like, I mean, I don't have those type of conversation, but even if I did, I would still appreciate it.
It's like, I called you though. I called you though.
It is what it is, bro. It is what it is.
No, Fran, I think you're 1,000% right, because I had an instant, this was 2 years ago, where I called someone that I hadn't spoke to in a long time, and they had they were messaging me periodically, and I called them. I was like, hey, let me just hit you up, see what's up. And I would just call them just to say hi. And then they used that as an opportunity to like go into this huge vent session. And they had like some, they actually, no, but they had like some legitimate problems that they were struggling with.
I was just trying to check my list.
Yo, and you know what? Yo, I'm a list checker,
you may end up serving a blessing in someone else's life. That's all it is.
List, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the in-between,
and
rightfully so, because I'm right in the middle of the Zoom chat. I'm not sure that's how it shows for everyone, but
I don't mind.
I'm like, to me, like, but a resolution without a plan is just going to lead to further procrastination, in my opinion. So I'm on it with the plan idea, but I'm also on it with that it doesn't have to be anything complex or major. It could be as simple as, I'm not going to eat candy next month. And that can be it. It's just can just be whatever gives you any type of merit or satisfaction. anything I think if you're learning to doing something that you didn't do, that's the whole point to the resolutions, and fine. Or it could be to continue something that you did in 22 into 23, and that's fine. But I do believe in goals, and I feel like we should definitely set some. I think it makes life a little bit more interesting rather than just having like the mundane. But don't start your resolutions in June for next year. You know what I mean? Like, I think like don't be like, all right, it's June, I'm gonna do that shit in 23. You know what I mean? Like thought season, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, nah.
I'm about to wild out. I'm gonna chill next year.
Yeah, like I agree. Like it has to mentally be in your mind already. Like, if you can't do it for whatever reasons, capacity or whatever, 23 looks better, then fine, cool. If you assess that, but without any evaluation, without internalizing it, it's just gonna be another year. Like everybody says, 23 is all me, baby. 24 is all me, baby. And they doing the same shit they did last year. So it's just like you gotta have a plan and you gotta put that shit together.
All I gotta say is for the people out there who are saying next year is my year.
Yeah, baby.
You know, keep going. One day it is gonna be your year. You know, that's really how I feel. You know, so don't give up on yourself. Just keep grinding, man. Regardless of what it looks like to Glenn.
That's not B. That's D. That's D Black.
I'm saying
it don't matter how big or small it is. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Absolutely, you can accomplish anything. I'm just saying, be realistic and then be like truly dedicated to the. Don't make a resolution just because you feel like you got to make one. Make one because it's realistic. Make sure one that's attainable. And I'll say, and it doesn't have to be a buddy, but put a system in place to make sure you achieve what you're trying to do.
Resolution pimp.
Bruh, whatever.
Like, bitch, where's my resolution? Yo, Fred, I dare you. You should call somebody and be like, World Cup.
You know what? Like, you know, even the reason why I had that.
Or ask them if they completed their resolution.
Because sometimes a goal comes from nowhere, right? And, like, and sometimes you evaluate yourself like, man, like, life is moving so fast. And I feel like I'm just so stuck in my own bubble, in my own world. I need to like kind of reach out to other people, and I've realized about that by myself. I was the social butterfly for many years until like more recently I found myself, I was an extrovert for many years, but now when I tell people I'm like such an introvert, I'm fine being alone. Like I actually prefer to be alone nowadays.
That's
and people like don't even believe it because people don't know me as that person. And I think it has kind of impacted my interaction with other people as well over the years. And so older. when I realized that by myself and I evaluated and I reflected, Glenn, you know, then I realized I needed to make some kind of a change. And that has actually forced me thinking about it like, okay, it doesn't mean that if I don't call 2 people this month, I failed. But the goal is just, it kind of keep me honest. Just like, for instance, you need to check in on some people like this month. And that's really what the purpose of it is the goal is really to just reach out to people and be more intentional about it. And it doesn't mean that I have to like meet this exactly to like, oh, if I don't call 2 people this month, I failed. Because that's not really the main goal. The main goal is to kind of stand out and check in. So even if it's 1 person this month, at least I still did something. So
yeah,
you call it introverted. I'm like, sometimes I see a text, I'm like, fuck. World Cup.
Yeah,
right,
bro.
I'm done.
Next
with the
topic.
World Cup. That shit is in my head, bro. I don't know what. Like all this.
Now everybody watch. How much more about people like, what is this damn World Cup song? Googling that song.
All right. What are you hoping? What occurred in 2022 are you hoping does not reoccur in 2023? World Cup.
Man, I'm hoping like where can I start? 2022 was the worst financial, like from a stock market standpoint, was the worst market performance, at least like in the last 5 decades. Like the market was shit this year. And on top of that, FTX happened, the FTX collapsed. I lost a lot of money, and I'm still trying to process through.
Fran had money to lose, y'all. Talk to Fran.
So like for me, it's just a lot happened this year, like from a financial standpoint, that I'm hoping next year is it's better from a financial standpoint. I know there's a lot of conversation about us going into recession and the market's going to even be worse. But one thing that happens is I think the first year of the recession, quote unquote, is usually the worst part of from a performance standpoint. So I'm hoping next year is not as bad. But but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of a lot of great things actually happened this year too. So, I'm very, God has been good, regardless of what happened, how much money, you can make more, you can make money back, right? So there was a lot of good things that happened this year that I'm very happy with 2022. There was a lot of blessing that happened in my life and a lot of people around me that I'm very happy with the year. So if I got the same year, excluding the money that I lost in FTX, it would be a blessing. I'll take that again. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I think I'm riding with you because I mean, I think I'm kind of it's kind of weird because in my professional sense, I tend to be more of a pessimistic person because I've been taught to always prepare for the worst. So I always look at so when people be like, hey, this thing went really well, I'm like, oh yeah, but where did it fail though? That's how I start the conversation. So, but I think in my personal life, I do tend to be a little bit more optimistic. I don't know. I think one thing about me this past year is, a little bit more maturation on my own personal mindset and the way I think about things. And if there's anything that I'm looking forward to in 2023 is to continue to further that and then to encourage that in other people, So via the podcast, hopefully I'm touching somebody, I'm reaching somebody, and and hopefully like through all these episodes that we've done, something I've said has kind of encouraged you to think a little bit more deeply or a little bit more intrinsically about, your own life and the decisions that you make, just so you can just challenge yourself to be better, So I'm hoping that, in 2023, a little bit more of that carries on. But I will say in 2022, all the divides, the social divides, like I'm sorry, all this boy versus girl crap, man versus women stuff, this junk is old to me. Red pill stuff, blue pill stuff. Like, why everybody
Viagra?
Ain't nobody seen The Matrix. None of y'all watched The Matrix. Y'all talking about red pill,
the blue pill.
Y'all even know the reference? Y'all even know where the reference came from?
But you don't like Viagra, bro? What's going on?
The blue pill from The Matrix.
You use it, bro? I don't know. You tell me, man.
I've heard about guys in their 20s using Viagra, but not me, luckily. But
the pills are not Viagra. It's about
you never had
The Matrix.
I have used Stone before. You ever heard of Stone?
What's that?
The Jamaican Stone. It's a sap from a tree. I just did it. I just said, fuck it. I was like, I'm gonna kill some pussy today. So I was like, word. Not that I even needed it, but I wanted to make sure. I wanted to double down.
Okay. So
pussy,
what was your performance?
R.I.P. to pussy. Okay, you know what I mean? Like pussy died this day.
Did you kill it? Did it die?
My shit was burning. Oh my god. So basically, it's a sap from the tree. I know we're going on a mean pivot, but this is a real story. I'm the story guy. It's a sap from a tree. They call it stone because they take the concentrate and they press it and they dry it into a little stone like this. So what you're supposed to do is you wet it, you rub it on your member, you know what I mean? Like on the head of it.
I knew you had to rub it on there.
It's supposed to make you strong, you know what I mean? Like super strong, like just, and what it actually does, it makes you not feel shit. You know what I mean? So you could just go in and you RIP the pussy. Bro, when they said, okay, it's going to have some tingling. And I bought this shit online. It wasn't even on Amazon. I don't know where I bought it from. I think it was like on eBay or some shit. Flown all the way from Jamaica. Bro, when I said I put that shit on to test that shit, my dick was burning. Talk about hell no, I'm not going to feel the pussy if my dick is burning like this. Like hell no. Shit was burning for like 2 days. I was just like, what the fuck? So yeah,
you seek medical treatment. That's the question.
That's about as blue pill as I've ever gone. But
Glenn, what did you learn from that? Do not let anyone force you to apply anything on your membrane.
No stone. Stone may work for some, but it may not work for many. It's a stone for president.
Not let anyone force you to apply anything
putting the counter
on your membrane.
R.I.P.
or to RIP that. Yes,
Banana.
because you
So
might
this
feel the
actually,
burn.
so it's funny because that actually ties into what I'm saying too. So like, not only do you rethink your social and your psychological choices, right? Because there's a lot that went into that one. You know, a lot of choices.
R.I.P. out there, it's killing it.
You
Boy.
know, make sure you get appropriate medical device. Make sure you evaluate
Yeah.
your health and well-being. But
Don't
like I
buy
said,
off of eBay.
yeah, man, and don't let that mental insecurity, emotional insecurity make you buy some magical herb
pills.
off it.
I never did that
You
shit
get medical
again.
advice off of eBay, you've already failed.
It's Jamaican stone. It's a known thing. I gotta find this tree, and that's where the money is. But yeah,
Yo,
I thought.
Glenn, let's pivot real quick. So what is what are you looking forward to? What happened last year that what in 2022 that you don't want it to happen in 2023?
World Cup.
Oh
Nah,
God.
but
Well, you
anyway.
got that one, okay?
Yeah, that's not happening in another 4 years. But
Oh boy.
22, definitely the financial aspect. I mean, not even just like honestly, it's like somebody's shitstorm is another man's, like manure, garden. I don't know. It's like you had people buying homes. It really started in 21 with COVID and the rates were low. And then they gradually, not even gradually increased, they just shot up out of nowhere in 2022. So that was a shit show. So whoever was trying to buy was just like, all right, so much for that. And then housing starts. I work in a market where we track housing starts. And there's not a lot of new construction happening either because of the cost of materials went up, labor freezes, all types of freezes. One thing I hope doesn't happen, I hope everyone gets sick leave. Okay? Like, please. It does not make sense because I work in the industry where this is applicable and applied and it hurt, where pretty much the foundation of our economy, the people that work it do not have sick leave. To me, that makes no sense. It's like people that didn't have health care, and when we tried to do affordable health care, the shit got shot down. Not shot down, but it was like, why would you want people to have health care? How dare you? You know what I mean? And then it's not just to find out that you have people working on the railroad that don't even have sick leave. It's kind of like, yo, we got guys dying on the job. That's insane. So to me, it's just like, yo, we really got to put this in perspective. And I know this is not going to happen in 2023, but it's just like, yo, what is going on as far as like with our government and even with our employers? Like, nah, bro, I don't understand that. But one thing I'm definitely trying to do next year, though, is I'm trying to start my own business in the food industry because I've been sitting on it for a little bit. I'm going through my licensing and whatever, my requirements and all like that. And I have a couple of ideas. So it was something I had planned in 2022, but a lot of things going on in 2022 with pod, events, all that other stuff, work. So it's just like, you know what? Let me pivot that into 23. So I actually have a plan in mind around like, you might see the homie with his own little establishment. But I mean, apart from that, it's just like, kind of echo everything, like the social media stuff and all that. But one thing that really stuck out to me was just the sick leave thing, man. Like that shit is crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Glenn. Well, that's dope, man. Well, good luck with that. You got
Absolutely.
the full support from the pod and the pod and the members.
World Cup
Oh,
Cafe.
Nah, nobody comes to that.
Here we go again. And it kind of like goes back to my point earlier. Like, while like resolution or saying goals is really critical, at least for me, based on my opinion. You were able to reflect on where things were at this year, and you realize, okay, this was not the right time, even though you quote unquote didn't achieve the goal that you set for yourself, but you were able to recalibrate, reset the timeline for your goal, and okay, next year is actually a better time for me to do it because of so and so A and Z, right? For whatever reason. So you were not in that moment. You shouldn't be down on yourself because you felt like, oh, I didn't accomplish my goal. So too many goals don't go as we plan because of many different reasons. So we have to give ourselves grace when things doesn't go as planned, and always know when it doesn't work out, it's just not the right time. Maybe God says this is not the moment, but your time is coming. So just always have that mindset. And I'm proud of you for having those plans. And it sounds like you already put a lot of work in. So looking forward to it, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. But I think on that note, we can call this episode a wrap. And that is it for the season. Whatever you're into, whether you're drinking your sorrel, you're eating your black cake, you're drinking your squash soup, sac passe, all my Haitians out there. If y'all haven't had squash soup, find you a Haitian. Come New Year's, it'll bless your life. You know what? Does Nigerians have any traditions like end of the year stuff that y'all do? Y'all make like a big thing of jollof, or what's going on in New Year's?
Man, we pray, man.
How about we going to church?
Church.
Y'all don't have like
Mass
a
and prayer,
drink
bro.
or a meal that y'all make at the end of the year specifically?
Not end of the
So,
year.
not
We
that I
make
know
rice
of.
every time.
We do have a cake. We do have cake, but like Nigerian cake is so different. It's like
It's not cake.
it's not. Yeah, it's not like a moist.
It's not moist.
It's not. It's not.
Don't say moist around Glenn. You know, Glenn is nasty, man. You know,
Oh,
you already know where my mind is going. Kill it.
Yeah, man. But we're big on like prayer and fasting into the new year. So
So pray and fast through the New Year's, and after that, get you some sorrel from me and some black cake Jamaican yardie style. But apart from that, stay tuned to our Instagram and YouTube for more content. We also have some announcements coming up as far as the next season in 2023. Most importantly, all the discussion, we thank you for tuning in with us through the remainder of this year. Thank you for being so supportive. Thank you for your feedback, for reaching out. Shout out to everybody that's reached out to us on IG, supported the events, supported our feedback, and supported our uploads and commented and listens and likes. We truly appreciate it. And we adore you all. We all hope you all have a safe and happy new year. Work on those resolutions, bring in 2023 right. It's all you, baby. Anything you can do is up to you. Ain't that right?
that's right.
All
Tell them.
right. Other than that, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.
Peace out.
Peace.
Wagwan, are you there? What's good? It's your homie G with the Jerk Jollof and Collard Greens podcast, extending a major thank you on behalf of the team for checking out this episode. Love what you heard? Leave us a review on your podcast streaming platform. And don't forget, don't be selfish. Share this with your friends. Looking to get more podcast-related info, major announcements, discussion questions, follow us at Jerk Jollof Collard Pod on Instagram and Facebook. Questions for the channel or any member of the team can be directed to jjcpod@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for getting your weekly dose of culture here with us. And on behalf of the team, thank you. Stay healthy, wealthy, blessed, and safe out there, y'all. Until next time, peace.